Shalawam, giving all praise and glory to the Most High, power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So Wada for joining me this day for another edifying day of going over the Most High's word and truth and righteousness to bring us closer to Him. And I give all praise and glory to the Most High, power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. His words to be praised for everything. Hallelujah. His glorious and holy name. So I'm continuing bringing forth the edification of how we have to be humble, which is contrary to being prideful. In the world, there's going to be a whole lot of people dying because of pride. The Most High hate prideful people. Therefore, He loved the humble. And we're going to look at more of our ancestors and looking at how they were humble and other aspects of, humility. I was looking at the book of Judith, and as always, we're going to start off with Colossians 3:17. And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all by H.O.I, giving thanks to the Most High, power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob being the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel, and the father by H.O.I. That's how we give thanks to the Most High, by H.O.I. and through H.O.I. Because remember when He said in St. John 14:6, I am the way, the truth, and the life, there was no New Testament. It was only the law and the prophets. That's all He had when He was on the earth, was the law and the prophets. So when you understand that, then it gives you more understanding of how we have to look at understanding this Bible. Because majority of the people that walked on the earth that is written about only had the law and the prophets. Just like right now, we living right now. We have the complete Bible. We don't have what's actually happening in our life day by day. It's not written here. We have prophecies that we can actually see that's fulfilled during our time, but every day of our life is not being recorded. That's not been recorded where we can put in the book, you see? But afterward, it can be, once we've lived it. So I want to look at Judith in the Apocrypha. Let's go to Judith, the 8th chapter. And we'll start at verse 24. It says, Now therefore, O brethren, let us show an example to our brethren, because their hearts depend on us, upon us, in the sanctuary, in the house, in the altar, because the Syrians had planned to come and take us down in 5 days. And the altar rest upon us. Say, moreover, let us give thanks to the Most High, our power, which trieth us, even as He did our fathers, meaning our forefathers. So remember what things He did to Abraham, and how He tried Isaac, and what happened to Jacob in Mesopotamia of Syria, when he kept the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother. Reminding them, just like we got to remember what it is that's written about our ancestors right here in the Bible, like I'm doing right now. For He have not tried us in the fire. He have not tried us in the fire as He did them, for the examination of their hearts. Judith 8:26. Remember what things He did to Abraham, and how He tried Isaac, and what happened to Jacob in Mesopotamia of Syria, when he kept the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother. So, saying we got to remember our forefather Abraham, who had a son named Isaac, with a son named Jacob. That's what you're saying. For he hath not tried us in the fire, as he did them, for the examination of their hearts, examination of their minds. So they hadn't went through the same thing that they went through. Neither hath he taken vengeance on us, but the Most High does scourge them that come near unto him to admonish them. You hear that? He scourged them that come near unto him to admonish them, to correct them. Then said Osiah to her, all that thou hast thou spoken with a good heart, with a good mind, and there is none that may gainsay thy words. But this is not the first day wherein thy wisdom is manifested. Talk about Judas' wisdom. But from the beginning of thy days, all the people have known thy understanding, because the disposition of thine heart is good. Disposition of her mind is good. And keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and being a righteous woman. That's why we have the book, Judah. But the people was very thirsty, and compelled us to do unto them as we have spoken, and to bring an oath upon ourselves, which we will not break. Therefore now pray thou for us, because thou art a righteous woman, and the Most High will send us rain to fill our cisterns, and we shall faint no more. Meaning they needed water. Then said Judah unto them, hear me, and I will do a thing which shall go throughout all generations to the children of our nation. Ye shall stand this night in the gate, and I will go forth with my waiting women. And within the days that ye have promised to deliver the city to our enemies, the Most High will visit Israel by mine hand. Wow. So within the days that they had planned to deliver Israel into the Assyrians' hand, she said the Most High gonna deliver Israel into her hand. But inquire not ye of mine act. Don't ask me what I'm gonna do, for I will not declare it unto you. I'm not gonna tell you till the things be finished that I do. Then said Osias and the princes under her, go in peace, and the Most High power be before thee, to take vengeance on our enemies. So they returned from the tent and went to their wards, to their place of living. Judith chapter 9, verse 1. Then Judith fell upon her face and put ashes upon her head, and uncovered the sackcloth wherewith she was clothed. She had sackcloth on. This is for humility before the Most High. And about the time that the incense of that evening was offered in Jerusalem, in the house of the Most High, Judith cried with a loud voice and said, so she crying with a loud voice and said, O Most High power of my father Simeon, to whom thou gavest a sword to take vengeance of the strangers, who loosed the girdle of a maid to defile her. Talking about our sister Dinah. And discovered the thigh to her shame, and polluted her virginity to her reproach. But thou sayest, it shall not be so, and yet they did so. I mean, we're supposed to be getting with these other nations, but these other nations got with our only sister, Dinah. That's what she's talking about. Wherefore thou gavest their rulers to be slain. Simeon and Levi determined that they wanted to be a part of our family. They had to circumcise themselves. Grown men circumcised themselves. So when they circumcised themselves, they went in and killed all of them. Verse 3, wherefore thou gavest their rulers to be slain, so that they dyed their bed in blood, being deceived, and smote the servants with their lords, and the lords upon their thrones, and has given their wives for a prey, and their daughters to be captives, and all their spoils to be divided among their dear children, which were moved with thy zeal, and abhorred the pollution of their blood, hated the pollution of their blood, and called upon thee for aid, O Most High, O my power. Hear me also, a widow. She crying out to the Most High, asking the Most High to hear her, also a widow. But thou hast wrought not only those things, but also the things which fell out before, and which ensued after. Thou hast thought upon the things which are now, and which are to come. Yea, what things thou didst determine were ready at hand, and said, Lo, we are here, for all thy ways are prepared, and thy judgments are in thy foreknowledge. For behold, the Assyrians are multiplied in their power. They are exalted with horse and man. They glory in the strength of their footmen. They trust in shield and spear and bow and sling, and know not that thou art the Most High that breaketh the battles. Most High is thy name. Throw down their strength in thy power, and bring down their force in thy wrath. For they have purposed to defile thy sanctuary, and to pollute the tabernacle where their glorious name resteth. Where thy glorious name resteth, Salak. And to cast down with sword the horn or the power of thy altar. Behold their pride, and send thy wrath upon their heads. Hear that? Read that again, because we're dealing with humility. What she praying? She said, behold their pride. Very arrogant and prideful. Behold their pride, and send thy wrath upon their heads. Give into mine hand, which am a widow, the power that I have conceived. Smite by the deceit of my lips the servant with the prince, and the princess with the servant. Break down their stateliness by the hand of a woman. For thy power standeth not in multitude, nor thy might in strong men, but thou art a power of the afflicted, and helper of the oppressed, an upholder of the weak, a protector of the forlorn, a savior of them that are without hope. I pray thee, O Most High, power of my Father, and power of the inheritance of Israel, Most High, power of the heavens and earth, creator of the waters, King of every creature. Hear thou my prayer, and make my speech and deceit to be their wound and stripe, who have purposed cruel things against thy covenant and thy hallowed house, and against the top of Zion, and against the house of the possession of thy children, and make every nation and tribe to acknowledge that thou art the Most High, of all power and might, and that there is none other that protecteth the people of Israel but thou. Just like it's going to be in this day, as we cry to the Most High, and he's going to reveal himself with a revealing that's going to last forever and ever, ever, with power beyond imagination. You think he got a name when he did all the plagues in Egypt? Oh, he going to get a name. He going to get a name that's going to last forever and ever and ever. Understand this. Let's continue. Judith chapter 10, verse 1. Now after that she had ceased to cry unto the Most High of Israel. All she said, she crying with tears. That's the only time the Most High had pity on us. So we knew this, like I know it, and you should know it. After hearing this. Now after that she had ceased to cry unto the Most High Power of Israel, and had made an end of all these words, she rose where she had fallen down. Remember, she had fell down, crying to the Most High, and called her maid, and went down into the house, in the which she abode in the Sabbath days, and in her feast days. She stayed at the house where she abode in the Sabbath days and the feast days. So was observing the Sabbath days and the feast days. And pulled off the sackcloth which she had on. This was in humility. And put off the garments of her widowhood. So she had a certain garment that she wore in being a widow. Everybody knew she was a widow. And washed her body all over with water, and anointed herself with precious ointment, and braided the hair of her head, and put on a tire upon it, and put on her garments of gladness, wherewith she had clad during the life of Manasseh her husband. Put on her garments that she wore during the time that her husband Manasseh was living. And she took sandals upon her feet, and put about her bracelets, and her chains, and her rings, and her earrings, and all her ornaments, and decked herself bravely, to allure the eyes of all men that should see her. Now look at that. Now, that's the normal dress for a lot of women this day, but they don't think that they're alluring the eyes of other men, especially women that are married. To dress up like this is alluring the eyes of other men. That's whorish. That's why she did. Remember, she took off her widow clothes, her humility clothes, and put on a special dress. She dressed herself up like this what did it say? And decked herself bravely, to allure the eyes of all men that should see her. You see? Then she gave her maid a bottle of wine and a cruse of oil, and filled a bag with parched corn and lumps of figs, and with fine bread. So she folded all these things together and laid them upon her. Thus they went forth to the gate of the city of Bethulia, and found standing there Osias and the ancients of the city, the elders of the city, Cabras and Carmus. And when they saw her, that her countenance was altered, her countenance was altered. It wasn't the same. They didn't see her with the widowhood attire on. They seen her dressed up to be able to allure all the eyes of men on her. And when they saw her, verse 7, that her countenance was altered and her apparel was changed, they wondered at her beauty very greatly, and said unto her, the power of our fathers, Yahweh, give thee favor, and accomplish thine enterprises to the glory of the children of Israel, and to the exaltation of Jerusalem. Then they worshiped the Most High. And she said unto them, command the gates of the city to be open unto me, that I may go forth to accomplish the things whereof ye have spoken with me. So they commanded the young men to open unto her as she had spoken. So they opened up the gate for her. And when they had done so, Judith went out, she and her maid with her. And the men of the city looked after her until she was gone down the mountain, until she had passed the valley and could see her no more. They watched her until she disappeared. Thus they went straight forth in the valley, and the first watch of the Syrians met her, and took her and asked her, of what people art thou? And whence cometh thou? Where you coming from? And whither goest thou? Where you going? And she said, I am a woman of the Hebrews, and am fled from them. But they shall be given you to be consumed. So now this, remember, she prayed the Most High to honor her deceit. You know, this is a Yai-Kwa move. Yai-Kwa means to plant, get over on. That's what she's doing. And I am coming before Holofernes, the chief captain of your army, to declare words of truth. And I will show him a way whereby he shall go and win all the hill country without losing the body of life or any one of his men. So this is all deceit. This is all a lie. This is her plan. And she said, don't ask me what I'm going to do. Now when the men heard her words and beheld her countenance, when they heard what she said and looked at her, they wondered greatly at her beauty. She was beautiful. And said unto her, thou hast saved thy life, and that thou hast hastened to come down to the presence of our master. Now therefore come to his tent, and some of us shall conduct thee until they have delivered thee to his hands. So we're going to accommodate you to Holofernes. And when thou standest before him, be not afraid in thine heart, but show unto him according to thy word, and he will entreat thee well. Then they chose out of them 100 men to accompany her and her maid, and they brought her to the tent of Holofernes. Then was there a concourse throughout all the camp, for her coming was noised around the tents. Everybody was talking about her coming. Her coming was noised about the tents, and they came about her. And she stood without the tent of Holofernes till they told him of her. She was standing outside his tent until they told Holofernes of her. And they wondered at her beauty. Hear that? They all wondered at her beauty and admired the children of Israel because of her. And everyone said it to his neighbor, who would despise this people that have among them such women? So I say our women are, man, beautiful, especially those in order, in righteousness, man, as she is. Surely it is not good that one man of them should of them be left. He says, surely it's not good that we shouldn't kill all of them, kill all the men. You kill the men, you can have the women as a spoil. Hear what they said? Surely it is not good that one man of them should be left, who being let go might deceive the whole earth. And they that lay near Holofernes went out, and all his servants, and they brought her into the tent. Now Holofernes rested upon his bed under a canopy, which was woven with purple and gold and emeralds and precious stones. So they showed him of her, and he came out before his tent with silver lamps going before him. He had the lamps going before him. And when Judith was come before him and his servants, they all marveled at the beauty of her countenance over and over again. The beauty of her countenance. And she fell down upon her face and did reverence unto him. And his servants took her up. She fell down on her face before him, kneeled before him. And Holofernes' servants picked her up. Then said Holofernes unto her, woman, this is chapter 11, be of good comfort, fear not in thine heart. For I never heard any that was willing to serve Nabuchodonosor, the king of all the earth. Now therefore, if thy people that dwelleth in the mountains had not set light by me, I would not have lifted up my spear against them. But they have done these things to themselves. But now tell me wherefore thou art fled from them. Why have you left from being amongst your people, the Hebrew Israelites, and art come unto us? But thou art come for safeguard. Be of good comfort. Thou shalt live this night and hereafter. For none shall hurt thee, but entreat thee well, as they do the servants of King Nabuchodonosor, my lord. my master. Then Judah said unto him, receive the words of thy servant, and suffer thine handmaid to speak in thy presence. It's her Yahweh move. That's our forefather, Yahweh, Israel. And I will declare no lie to my master this night. And if thou wilt follow the words of thine handmaid, the Most High will bring the thing perfectly to pass by thee, and my master shall not fail of his purposes. See, Most High gonna be with you. And Nebuchadnezzar, king of all the earth, liveth, and as his power liveth, who have sent thee for the upholding of every living thing. For not only men shall serve him by thee, but also the beasts of the field, and the cattle, and the fowls of the air shall live by thy power under Nebuchadnezzar and all his house. We have heard of thy wisdom and thy policies, and it is reported in all the earth that thou only art excellent in all the kingdom, and mighty in knowledge, and wonderful in feats of war. She boasted on him, bragging about him, lifting him up, making him be comfortable. Mind you, she's supplanting him. Therefore, O master and governor, reject not his word, but lay it up in thine heart, for it is true. For our nation shall not be punished, neither can the sword prevail against them, except they sin against their power. And now, that my master be not defeated and frustrate of his purpose, even death is now fallen upon them, and their sin hath overtaken them, wherewith they will provoke their power to anger, whensoever they shall do that which is not fit to be done. For their victuals fail them, and all their water is scant, and they have determined to lay hands upon their cattle, and purpose to consume all those things, and the Most High have forbidden them to eat by his laws. So now, she's telling me this, but we got to go back to Judah 5 and 5 and verse 17. It says, and whence they sin not before their power, they prospered, because the Most High that hateth iniquity was with them. So he's being told this. You see? He's been told by one of his soldiers what will happen if we were righteous in the eyes of the Most High. Like right now, we coming back to his laws, statutes, commandments. That's what it's saying. And once they sin not, when we sin not before their power, they prospered, because the Most High that hateth iniquity was with them. The whole story of us is being told to him. But it was a condition. When they departed from the way which he'd appointed them, meaning not following the law, statutes, commandments, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs. This is we, the children of Israel, 12 tribes of Israel. It says, and the temple of their power was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. You see? But now are they returned to their power, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Meaning we come back to the law, statutes, commandments. The Most High had brought us out of captivity. We cried to the Most High. And as a matter of fact, in verse 12 tells you, well, let's look at verse 11. It said, therefore the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, rose up against them, and dealt subtly with them, and brought them low with laboring and brick, and made them slaves, right? Was in Egypt's captivity, all 12 tribes. Listen what it says. Then they cried unto the Most High, and he smote all the land of Egypt with incurable plagues. So the Egyptians cast them out of their sight. See? So he's telling the story of our story, of what the Most High done and what we had to go through in being either righteous by keeping the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, or being unrighteous by not keeping the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High. So verse 19 says, but now are they returned to their power, meaning keeping the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. We come back to our homeland of Jerusalem from captivity. Now therefore, my master and governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. This is what she's telling them, that we in Jerusalem sinning. He's been told, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. What? And they sin against their power, the Most High. Let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. But, what's the condition? If, another condition, there be no iniquity in their nation, there be no iniquity in our nation, let my Lord, let my master now pass by, lest their Most High power defend them, and their power be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. See? So they knew this. They knew this. He been told this. So when she's coming with what she's coming with and telling them this, he already heard this from his officers. So it makes a lot of sense that and also when we look at Ezekiel 39 and 23, even to us today. That's why it's very important to see what's already written and see how it applies to then and now. Why it is that our people are not being told that we're under the law, but we're not under the law. And we're in the mercy and grace, and we Gentiles grafted in and got to be filled with the Holy Ghost and speaking tongues and the things that religions have taught them without edification, true edification of the righteousness of this word. Listen, Ezekiel 39:23. It says, and the heathen, the other nations outside of the 12 tribes of Israel, shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, for sinning against the Most High, breaking his laws, statutes, commandments. The other nations know this. We don't know this because we thinking that we're Gentiles grafting in with someone that you don't know who you were grafted in among. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword, according to their uncleanness and according to their transgression, breaking the Most High's laws, statute, commandments, have I done unto them, and hid my face from them. That's why he said in Hosea 5:15. Go there, Hosea 5:15. Hosea 5:15. He said, I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense, till we acknowledge how we have offended the Most High, and seek my face. In their affliction, they will seek me early. So go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 12th chapter, in the Apocrypha. Wisdom of Solomon, the 12th chapter, in the Apocrypha. In verse 2. Therefore chastenest thou them by little and little that offend. You hear that? The Most High chasten us little by little that offend, and warned them by putting them in remembrance wherein they have offended, that leaving their wickedness, they may believe on thee, O Most High. Coming back to his laws, statutes, commandments, we may believe on the Most High. Verse 1. For thine incorruptible spirit is in all things. You hear that? The most incorruptible spirit is in all things, because he's righteous. So going back to Judah, 5, the 5th chapter. Judas, the 5th chapter, and verse 20, it says, Now therefore, my master and governor, if there be any error in this people, meaning we breaking the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, as it is this day, people that's involved in religion saying that we're not under the Most High's commandments, his laws. Now therefore, my master and governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. You see that? For anybody tell you that we're not under the law, you're going to be ruined. And in the end, you're going to be cast into the lake of fire, where the worms never die and the fires never quench, as it is written. So let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my master now pass by. Leave them alone if they're not sinning. If they're not breaking the Most High's laws, statutes, commandments, leave them alone. They follow his rules and regulations, you better leave them alone. Pass them by. Lest their master, the Most High power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Jacob being the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel, defend them, and their power be for them, and we become a reproach, a disgrace before all the world. So you know this. Look at 2 Maccabees 8 and 2 Maccabees the 8th chapter and verse 36. Second Maccabees 8:36. Thus he that took upon him to make good to the Romans their tribute by means of the captives in Jerusalem told abroad that the Jews had the Most High to fight for them, and therefore they could not be hurt because they followed the laws that he gave them. I'll read to you again. And this is in the Old Testament, in the Bible. It's in the Bible, in the original King James 611 Bible. It's right here in this Bible, the Apocrypha. The Protestant church took the 14 books out. They're not hidden anymore. They call them hidden books. No, they're not hidden because we have them. It's a lot of meat here. Look, listen. This is 2 Maccabees 8 and 36. Thus he that took upon him to make good to the Romans their tribute by means of the captives in Jerusalem told abroad that the Jews had the Most High to fight for them. Hear that? And y'all hear this out there, everyone. That the Israelites have the Most High to fight for them. Like I tell you, you're always looking at us, but you got to fight the Most High. Power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The Jews have the Most High to fight for them, and therefore they could not be hurt because they followed the laws that he gave them. They could not be hurt because they followed the laws that he gave them. Come on now. Make it mean something different. Understand this. So the heathen know this. That we don't follow the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High. That he's going to afflict us. And he's going to, you know, in their mind, continue to keep his, you know, eyes away from us. But we coming back to him. Everyone's talking about keeping the laws of the Most High, you see. So therefore, there's a change within our nation. For real, for real. You know, as long as I've been in this truth and can review from the time I've been in and what it is that was taught, what was brought out more in abundance now is about keeping the laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High, the moral laws, the civil laws, the dietary laws, ceremonial laws. And it's beautiful. So let's go back to see what I want to bring you to. So let me get right to the point. Let's go to Judith, the 13th chapter. Let's go Judith, the 12th chapter. She done told him, you know, like she came to be on his side, be with him, to help him bring Israel down because we had broken the laws of the Most High. And thinking that, you know, him thinking that, knowing that, like we just read in Judith the 5th chapter, that he could bring us down. When we follow the laws of the Most High gonna fight for us. We're not gonna be hurt. So, Judith the 13th chapter, well, 12th chapter, let's see. Let's start at verse 11. Judith 12 and 11. The 12th chapter, 11th verse. Then said he to Bogaz, the eunuch is someone that doesn't really deal with having sex, who had charge over all that he had, go now and persuade this Hebrew woman which is with thee, that she come unto us and eat and drink with us. Go persuade her to come and eat and drink with him, right? For lo, it will be a shame for one person if we shall let such a woman go, not having had her company. For if we draw her not unto us, she will laugh us to scorn. Then went Bogaz from the presence of Holofernes and came to her, and he said, let not this fair damsel fear to come to my master, and to be honored in his presence, and drink